registered. Now, that left 2 unaccounted for, and we now know that those 2 jetliners that were involved in 2 of the deadly crashes today actually originated from Boston. They are, as you said, American Airlines flight number 11 from Boston bound for L.A. It left Logan from Terminal B at 7:59 this morning with 81 passengers and 11 crew members, hijacked in flight and crashed into one of the World Trade Center towers around 9. At 8:14, United Airlines flight number 175 left Boston with 56 passengers and 9 crew members en route to L.A., also hijacked in flight, and officials now believe, at least according to the Massport officials in their briefing moments ago, that this jetliner was also involved now in the second crash of the World Trade Center tower. Massport, as you mentioned, has opened a family assistance center at the nearby Hilton Hotel to receive family members of the passengers. There are counselors and clergy there as well. There are a number of family members gathered. It is off limits to the media, and if you have a loved one that might have been on board one of those 2 Boston flights, you are being asked to call American Airlines. The number is 800-245-0999. United, the airline's number is 800-932-8555, or Massport, and the number is 617-568-3100. Now, Logan remains closed, and Massport has asked passengers and employees to leave the airport. There is a heavy police presence here. My colleague Kathy Curran spoke with folks at Logan just moments after the horrible news came in.
I'm freaked. I'm absolutely astounded. I was just about to start my new job in L.A. today, and all of my friends know I'm on a flight to Los Angeles today. So everybody I know is probably wondering if I'm dead right now.
We heard about this as we were heading here.
I don't really know, sir. I have no idea. Why don't you go down there and perhaps he can help you?
There was chaos and panic at the American terminal the moment word of the downed plane spread. Logan quickly shut down and investigators moved in. Craig McFarland was supposed to be on Flight 11 to L.A., one of the planes that crashed into the World Trade Center.
I don't know what to do. I want to just go see. I want to go watch TV myself, actually, right now.
It's really scary. It's wild. I have no idea what's going on.
There were several flights taxiing on the tarmac at Logan when the 2 planes crashed in New York. The pilots here told passengers what was going on, and those flights were aborted.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's a very scary situation. I mean, it could have been the plane that I was on.
Hours later, the horror devastated workers at United. They lost 56 passengers and their crew. And the fact that this looks like the work of terrorists has travelers wary.
I'm flabbergasted. Like I said, I was in Europe for the summer, and I couldn't wait to get back where I'd be safe, and then this happened.
Now everyone is on alert. Reporting from Logan, Kathy Curran, WBZ4 News.
So Massport remains closed indefinitely. People are being asked not to come to Logan. Rather, Massport has closed Logan indefinitely. They will be working with the FAA. The FBI is the lead investigator in this case, and Massport has set up a media center here at the Hyatt Hotel. They are required to, under their emergency plan, to brief us. We heard from officials a few moments ago, and we expect to bring you any information as soon as there is a briefing. The Family Assistance Center that was set up at the Hilton Hotel, as I mentioned, is off limits to the media. Family members of loved ones on board the Boston-based jetliners are gathering there along with clergy and counselors, and Massport officials say they will be bringing us information about what is happening from that center when they brief us next. Reporting live from the Hyatt at Logan Airport, I'm Casey Kaufman. Back to you, Jack.
Casey, thank you. Of course, as the days pass, we'll tell a number of stories. Thousands of New Englanders are in the New York area on a daily basis on business. Anyone who's flown the New York shuttle realizes just how busy and how much interaction between the two cities. The Associated Press was quoting one company in Rhode Island had set up a meeting this morning with their people down at the World Trade Center. No word on any possible fatalities there. Reaction from Washington is beginning to come in. We're now hearing from some of our elected officials. We now have some response from the First Lady Laura Bush and from our senior Senator Ted Kennedy.
All of us deplore the acts of terrorism that we have seen in these past minutes. And our hearts reach out to all of those who have suffered, lost their lives, and are injured right now. And all of us reach out as Americans to the brave rescue workers that are attempting to help our fellow citizens. We, out of respect for those efforts, have postponed our hearing this morning. We underline the point that it is postponed. We are not going to see the business of America deferred because of terrorism, whether it's in education or in other area of public policy.
Our hearts and our prayers go out to the victims of this act of terrorism, and that our support goes to the rescue workers, and all of our prayers are with everyone there right now.
Here in Boston, the response today was very fast. Federal employees, state employees were sent home. In all, some 55,000 state employees in Boston are now at home. 1,500 state-owned buildings around the state were locked and secured by extra police today. Logan Airport closed. The Amtrak service has been closed today along the northeast corridor. Well, as you can imagine, people here are talking nothing but this. I think we're all stunned and shocked and just finding out more about the extent of the devastation. Let's go to the Boston City Hall Plaza. Shelley Lockhart has been checking out the situation there. Shelley?
Well, Jack, what would normally be a very busy time down here downtown is now actually quite quiet. Not too many cars on the streets and not a lot of people walking around. City Hall has been evacuated. The State House was evacuated, both of those early this morning, along with many of the buildings here in downtown. Everyone just going home, trying to find a way to somehow comprehend America's loss and to figure out how something like this could have originated in Boston.
It cuts the heart of all of us, and life in America has changed forever.
Mayor Menino voiced what so many hearts are feeling.
So I just ask everyone in our city to step back and say a little prayer for these individuals.
As downtown Boston universities and government buildings evacuated, traffic came to a standstill and the emotional weight set in.
My brother works at World Financial Center, which is connected to that, so we got to try to get in touch with him and see if he's okay and safe.
The city is on high alert. Law enforcement presence is visible on almost every street. Boston Emergency Management has called in extra help.
We're not experiencing any increased demand on our system. We're just building up to have the extra availability out there.
And just about anywhere that you go in downtown Boston this afternoon, you will see police cars, ambulances, fire trucks. As I said, they are on high alert. We also want to let you know that the disaster medicine team from here in Boston has also been called in, and they are on alert just in case they have to go to Washington, D.C. or to New York City to help with some of the casualties there. Reporting live from downtown Boston, I'm Shelley Lockhart, WBZ4 News. Jack, back to you.
All right, Shelley, thank you very much. Acting Governor Jane Swift has been at the state bunker in Framingham and indicating that she is ready to help New York in any way. We know that some F-15s, members of the Massachusetts Air National Guard, have been sent. They've been patrolling the skies. All air traffic in the United States and Canada has been halted, except for military air traffic right now. It's an unprecedented time in our nation's history, and just an absolute tragedy. We don't know how many people from Boston. I was totaling up the numbers on the two flights which emanated from Boston this morning, both hijacked. That American Airlines and the United Airlines flight, between the two, 157 people were on board, including, at least on the American Airlines flight, the whole crew was from Boston. Let's check the situation in the Back Bay. Christina Hager joins us with a look at what's happening in the Back Bay of Boston. Christina?
Well, Jack, a Boston Globe delivery man just drove by and dropped off this extra edition. You can see it says Reign of Terror. Otherwise, around here in the Back Bay, a situation similar to what Shelley described. Very calm, very somber. Frankly, a lot of people have left. We've been out here talking with people as they decide whether they should leave work and go home. And judging by the lack of traffic out here, it looks like a lot of people have, in fact, decided to go home. Like everywhere else in the country, the people we have talked with today tell us they are in shock, frightened to think what next, especially here in the Back Bay, where there are a lot of high-rises like the Prudential Building. Behind me, the flag here at half-staff. The devastation that has happened around the country clearly on the minds of everyone here. Watch this.
Well, it's just very surreal. It's when you see a plane actually hit another building, and then you see it explode.
It's crazy. Everything's crazy. You can't do anything about it, but people are sick.
That's terrifying. It really is horrifying to think that, you know, all these planes are going down. I don't know. It's nerve-wracking.
We closed around noontime today out of concern for the safety of our employees and also out of respect for the numerous persons who have been killed by this act of terrorism.
Hundreds of people who work in the Prudential Building here asked to leave this morning as a security precaution and also as part of a mass exodus that began with the city's tallest building, the John Hancock, an evacuation there, then an evacuation at the other Hancock buildings. In all, 12,000 people evacuated from all of the Hancock properties, and a lot of other businesses here in the Back Bay area also shutting down. The T is waiving all fees. The Mass Pike is waiving all tolls, all part of an effort to move people out of the city here. And again, it appears, judging by the lack of traffic, pedestrian and road traffic, it looks like people are getting that message. Again, just as I would imagine in other cities across the country, a very quiet and somber mood here in Boston. Live in the Back Bay, Christina Hager, WBZ4 News. Jack, back to you.
All right, Christina, and I think certainly shock would also be part of it. We now have a picture of the pilot who was piloting the American Airlines flight when it took off from Boston. We don't know if he was at the controls, more than likely not, when it crashed in the World Trade Center. This is John Oganoski. He's from Dracut. He's the father of 3 daughters, ages 11 to 16. His wife also his wife is an American Airlines stewardess, apparently. His brother, Jim, and other members of the family are going to be speaking to the media in a few moments, and we're going to monitor that for you. So we will continue to watch the Boston connection as we rejoin CBS and see what else is unfolding with the Pentagon on fire, the World Trade Center, 2 buildings both destroyed, another airline down with loss of life that's uncounted so far, but in the thousands certainly. We'll be back with more updates in just a few moments. Right now, let's rejoin CBS News.
Made a short statement there calling this an apparent terrorist attack. Then he flew to Air Base in Shreveport, Louisiana, made another videotape statement there, somewhat longer in both statements, assuring Americans that their government was continuing to function and that those responsible for this would be found and be held accountable, and asking for the prayers and thoughts of families most directly affected by today's tragedies. Then the president flew on to Nebraska, to Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska, where he was last reported to be receiving, quote, a briefing on the situation. And at that particular Air Force base in Nebraska are the DEFCON planes, which are aircraft outfitted particularly to carry presidents aloft in catastrophic situations. Not to say that President Bush is going to go on a DEFCON plane. So far as we know, he plans to continue to fly on Air Force One. But where he will go, where he will wind up, we do not know. He did not go back to Washington as he said he was going to do out of Florida. More about that as we go later on. Now we're approaching the half-hour mark. Every half hour and hour we try to recapitulate what we know, what we don't know, bring you up to date on the situation, and we'll do that in a very few moments. But let me point out a couple of things before doing that. First of all, New York hospitals continue to be absolutely inundated with the wounded from today's events in and around the World Trade Center. Some patients have been taken to outlying hospitals, suburban hospitals outside the city. There is a shortage of blood, as you would expect under these circumstances, and the American Red Cross is keeping open the facilities for blood donations in the city, in those areas of the city that are not affected by the explosions and fire and events in Lower Manhattan. So those blood donation centers are open. The FAA says that air traffic, which has been grounded in the country in an unprecedented act since early this morning, that tomorrow noon is the earliest the FAA intends to have air transport authorized again. Overseas flights headed for this country were ordered to either U-turn or to find landing places outside the United States. NATO was holding what was described as an emergency meeting, which was due